So I'm just going to replay that little bit again and just show you what I actually see. So as we're going, as the horses are coming around, now the horse that's actually going to move forwards into the lead on this particular one is this horse here. So his ear positions are telling me that he's coming across in front of the others and that he's taking the lead on this. Now the others are now starting to sort themselves out. So this one here is telling us that he's staying back. This one's telling us that she is coming forwards by her left ear, but keeping back away from that one there. His ears we can't see overly well, but you can see the shadow on the chest there that shows that the ears are in a backwards position, showing that he's not going forwards any further from here. Right, so then as we come over, then all of the ear positions start to change. So we can see here that his ears have gone outwards. But his ears have gone backwards, so he's obviously interfered with the chestnut space. We can see that her ears are now telling that she's now gone backwards with both of her ears. Now that all these can be calculated with the Equine Semaphore Code as to what angles these ears are actually at and how they're communicating with each other. But they're communicating now at the moment how they're going to be going forwards. But it's this chestnut here that is starting to take the lead. So he's telling me that he's cutting across here and he's coming forward. So that is the angle of the ears as it's going. So if we just take that a little bit further, okay. So now he's changed his ear position again. Okay, so he's definitely coming forwards and he's coming straight at me at this point. These ones here are still trying to sort themselves out as to what order they're actually going, but they'll get there. Right, so as we then start to come across, now we can see that the little chestnut here, his ear position has changed now to a forward motion, sorry, but slightly out to the side there. This one here, both of his ears have come back, but he'll be able to see the apex of the ear just at the top here, that the ear has gone forwards and across out to the side. So it's showing that that chestnut's now going to start to move over. Now, if we look at the mare here, we can see that she's got one ear forwards and out to the side, but one ear back. So that's showing as well that she's going over to her left-hand side, but she's also keeping back because we've got this little madam here whose both ears are forward, showing that she's actually coming forwards. And again, if we go for the chestnut here, it's showing that he's coming forwards as well. So now, where the horses were charging to me, we're going to skip across to the next bit. So all of the ear positions tell me exactly what they're going to be doing. All right, so we've got staying back. The chestnut is coming forwards. I'll go on to the chestnut a bit more in a second. Let's just move that over a bit more. So let's just zoom that out. Now, as you can see, the chestnut at the front there sliding. Okay, he's realised he's now sliding. So if you look at his ear positions, he's still coming forwards, but he's got his left ear pointing backwards. So he's realised that he needs to take control of something that's going on. Now that's actually alerted all the other horses as well. So the chestnut here has started to change his head position. He realised something's wrong. Obviously, you can see the horse is sliding, but the horse is communicating the fact that he needs to take action because he's slipping. And then as we come across, you can see as he's sliding across in the mud, he's now trying to calculate how to get around me. And the horses in the background there are all of the heads have gone up in the next position. So they're all now pulling back away from. Now, interestingly, the grey at the back, if you can notice, he's got an ear pointing forwards and ear pointing out to the right. So now he's got to realise that he's got to get around the other two horses because his speed might be slightly different to what these were. But if we look at the chestnut here, okay, so he's now telling me that he's still coming forwards, but he's trying to get across. So he's not coming at me, but he is coming forwards. So this tells me he's trying to avoid me. Now if we go a little bit further, okay, so he's still slipping at this point, okay, but he's still telling me he's trying to avoid me. So he's still coming forwards. That's here, it's telling me he's coming forwards, but he's staying back from me. And you can see the other horses in the background as well, what their ears are doing. Now, as he gets to a closer point, okay, oops, just missed it. Okay, so we can see here the same action again. So he's still coming forwards, but he's still keeping away from me. But if you noticed, his facial expression has now changed as well. So if you look very closely at their facial expressions, this is now changed, and he knows he's in control of himself and he's going to miss me. So as he realises he's now in control and he's no longer slipping, if we just get this, you can just see the facial expressions change. Both his ears flick backwards. Yeah, so we just got that bit here. He's looking straight at me. He knows I'm going to stand still because I've signalled to him that I'm keeping completely still so he can manoeuvre around me. His other ear starts now to flick back, not rotate back, flick back. So it's at a higher angle. And both ears are going back. So he's now telling me he's definitely keeping away from me and I'm okay. So let's go over there. We can just see the ears flick. Okay. And then as he starts to go past me, his left ear then flicked forwards. But if you notice, the angle of this ear here is still saying that I'm back on keeping out of your way. Now, while he was doing that, it's the chestnut here lost view of me because he was obviously focused on the other things around him. But we can see that this one here, both her ears are back. This one, she's going off in that direction in order to come round. Both her ears are forwards. This one here, he's still holding back. You've got to go close on this one. And this one here, she's saying she's holding back. Can't quite see the other one. Right, so as we go across, so now Barney has started to slip as well. So this little this little chestnut here is now also started to slip in more or less exactly the same place as what Pie had slipped. So if we have a quick look as we go across now, let's have a quick look. Okay, he's now telling me, okay, he's understanding he's slipping. He knows he's got to readjust himself. So we've got here, he knows he's slipping. Both of his ears are saying I'm keeping back. This one obviously aware that now that he's having difficulties and that he's lost his footing. And he's saying, yep, okay, realised I've got to adjust myself now in order to go back. This one here, both his ears very back and very tight back, which is very important. Because he's understanding that he's got a horse at the side of him and a horse here. So his ears would be in the more A position and back as opposed to the B position or back. And then Dakota here, so she's got her ears in roughly about the B position and back from the frontal view of the Equine Semaphore Code. So as we're going now, let's try and get this as we're going for Barney. Okay, right, he's still slipping, but he's realised he's now in control. Okay, so this one's now telling me I'm not going to get you, I'm going to still get round you. And you can see the angle of which the ear is actually pointing as to the angle in which his body now needs to go in order for him to get round me. And you can see this one here, so everything's now changed. So he's still saying I'm keeping back, but he's now coming in this direction. And then as we get further forwards, now here you can see that the mare's ears, because the cob there has got closer to her, the angle of her ears have gone closer. So rather than being outwards, they've now gone closer together. So he's coming into a closer proximity, which changes the angle of the ears. So she's still saying I'm keeping back, but because he's coming closer, then the ear position has gone closer to each other. And then his ear positions, it's very difficult to tell with him, but you can just see it with the apex of the ear. He's got that one just there at the apex, which is pointing backwards, and that one is pointing slightly forwards and out to the right hand side, so like roughly a 90-degree angle on the test coding system, which tells the mare, okay, so she's going to be able to see both of those ears from that position that she's in there, with the way the eyeballs move around. That he's keeping away from her, but he's also still coming forwards in the direction he's going. And then we've got this guy here, obviously his ear saying I'm going forwards, but he's got the other horse in front, so he's saying I'm keeping away from you as well. And there we go. So just very, very quickly, so as the horses were charging at me, okay, I didn't expect them to slip. Had they not slipped, then that wouldn't have happened, all the positioning, because they would have been in the direction. They knew where I was. I would have been standing still. They knew to run around me. It's always best to leave the horse to go around you as opposed to you trying to get away from the horse. From my studies and research, the horse can see so much faster than us. That's something else to be revealed. If you have a look in the book, I actually do reveal how fast horses sort of do see and communicate with each other. So standing still is the best point when you have a herd of horses charging you out like this, because they'll work it out. But because he lost his footing just there, that means the whole herd then had to readjust themselves in order to get round me. Okay, so Belle there had to slightly adjust her footing. She actually, if you notice where he slipped, okay, so where Pie slipped, just here, okay, Belle started slipping as well. She readjusted herself and bounced to the side. So she did a really lovely little bounce there. Barney obviously then lost his footing, but because he was then be focused on Belle because she lost her footing, Pie lost his footing, he's now got to focus on me. What am I going to do? And so that he can adjust himself to get himself around me. Aren't they amazing creatures? Absolutely amazing creatures. So just a little replay on this one as well. So how our arms can be used to interpret direction and everything. So similar to this is what I've always put in my book and things like that, is that we can use, all the horses interpret the actions of our arms as to what the desired action is for them to do. So if we notice Daryl just here, okay, so she's coming across, the lunge line is purely to encourage them to move forwards. But as we just play that and bring that across, okay, so you can see as she's moving along, okay, they're not going to do anything until she raises her arm, okay, and she goes, can you go that way? And off they go. So if you notice, the lunge whip itself was down on the floor, okay, it was encouraging the way they want them to go, or for the fact that they're still working rather. The lunge whip only comes out when they're having to work. And herd them around, and then with the pointing of the hand and the body action of Daryl, then all of the horses change direction and go back down the other way. I'm going to play that bit though where Daryl says, just listen really careful because it's quite quiet. Hang on a minute. Can you go that way? And off they go.